Jade Cargill has lashed out over her AEW run. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that is, what she had to say, and why it's so significant, because this is not a weird tribalism thing. As someone who has bought tickets to an AEW Dynamite earlier this year in Tulsa and also bought SmackDown tickets to the BOK Center, I can attest that it's not tribalism. This is just a fact of the matter of the situation. Jade Cargill, she had a big run in AEW, but she's had a bigger run in WWE. I feel like most people would agree with that, and I'll tell you why on multiple fronts. Jade Cargill's run in AEW, it was very good. She was a long and dominant TBS champion, a monstrous heel who got over with the fans there, but she never felt quite as a magical fit as she does in WWE. Jade Cargill in WWE is a much bigger star, something in which she aimed to do, something in which was by design. She went to WWE for that exact reason. So she left AEW in late 2023, signed with the WWE. They made it a big deal. You knew that they thought highly of Jade Cargill as soon as she signed because she was doing multiple media appearances and interviews talking about the decision. And she's talked about her AEW run extensively over the last year. Why she left, what she thought of her run, etc. And I can get it. She's in a new chapter of her life. She is a two-time women's tag team champion. She has made waves throughout this year, whether it was her arrival in the Women's Royal Rumble match, whether it was her SmackDown arrival earlier this year, aligning herself with Naomi and Bianca Belair, whether it was taking on Damage Control in a key match at WrestleMania 40, or whether it was the two tag team title runs in which she's had. She's currently in one right now with Bianca Belair. She has the fans really invested in her and Bianca Belair as a tag team. I caught flack, admittedly rightfully so, that I thought it was time a few months ago to do Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair before they won back the women's tag team titles. Y'all told me I was nuts, I was crazy. It was not time for them to do that match. And you know what? You're absolutely right. That's my bad. That's my bad. Now they're still running roughshod. And they have the fans invested in their tag team run. They have the fans invested in seeing where Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are going to go. Now that leads us to today's video, because there was a quote that Wrestling Inc. came out with for a story, it was no big deal, talking about how she had her first match on AEW and she feels like she was thrown into the deep end without real preparation behind the scenes. Something which I've talked about here. Essentially, she had to figure out how to be a heel on her own. Well, Jade saw this tweet and she goes, "This is so old. You've all heard it before. Can we please turn this page? I'm focused on another goal. Thanks, guys. Next." What does this mean? This means Jade Cargill is tired of talking about AEW. She's tired about talking about the past, what happened yesteryear. She wants to look forward. She wants to talk about today, and rightfully so. Look, she's in the biggest promotion in the world right now as a champion with a notable push, who's on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown nearly every week with one of WWE's biggest stars in Bianca Belair. That's a really big deal. That's a real big thing, because just like Cody Rhodes, when Jade Cargill went to AEW, Vince McMahon, Triple H, everyone involved. When it came with Cody, and now obviously with Jade, and Brian Pillman Jr., and Ethan Page, and the list can go on and on and on. If you come from AEW to WWE, we're going to be putting you in a key position. We're going to give you every chance, every opportunity that you can succeed, because we do not want this narrative that if you come from AEW and you come to WWE, you will be buried, you will be punished because you work for the competition. It's a much different thing right now in WWE. They're on top. AEW is on the bottom. In terms of momentum, in terms of popularity, in terms of fan engagement and interest. WWE is the number one game in town. That's why Jade Cargill came to WWE from AEW. That's something in which I've talked about here on the channel. She's talked about numerous times, and I've covered numerous times, the fact that she looked at AEW as a growing business, which it is. WWE has a 50-year head start. She did not want to grow with a small business because she knows two things. One of which, she has Hollywood aspirations, and she's looking for pro wrestling to be a springboard to those aspirations. How can I get there quicker, faster, and better? Pro wrestling. She also didn't want to grow with the company at a time in which she was growing. She wanted to go to an established brand, an established market, and let them grow her brand for herself. Okay? That's why she went to WWE. Wasn't about the money. The schedule clearly wasn't an issue, considering that now, outside of international house shows, WWE essentially has the same schedule as AEW, if you think about it, right? So it's really not a schedule thing. It's not a money thing. I'm sure Tony Khan would have offered the exact same amount of money. Heck, he could have offered more money than WWE. It just comes from a logistic standpoint. It comes down to goal standpoint. She wanted two things. They offered her two things. She took those two things, and now she's off to the races. And despite the fact that she was a TBS champion in AEW, and regardless of how she was booked, which was a dominant heel monstrous figure, she's actually more over as a babyface in WWE who sells and shows emotion and does character work and promos and etc. She didn't do many promos in AEW. She also has a better image, I think. Her presentation is a heck of a lot better than it was in AEW. Now, that's not to say that AEW did something wrong with her when it comes to presentation, because they set the forefront. They set the foundation of her entrance, but I think WWE has made it better with the smoke and the theme song, right? She has the it factor. She is charismatic. They just knew that they needed to kind of work on the finer things of Jade Cargill's game, and that's exactly what they've done. They've done so with her character work. They've done so with her promos. They've done so with her in-ring ability. She's a better wrestler in the last month, last year, than she ever was in AEW. That is partially because she has more experience, because she's only, been in the business for 4 years now, 5 years, right? And, in my opinion, something in which AEW lacks is developmental. They do not have developmental. WWE does. Performance Center, obviously, their training facility. AEW has a Nightmare Factory, somewhat. You have NXT. AEW does not. That impacts the growth of talent. That impacts the growth of Jade Cargill. Used to, their developmental territory was essentially dark and dark elevation, but those shows have not been around in a few years now. Hopefully that will change now that AEW does not have an exclusive deal with Warner Bros. Discovery, and they're reportedly shopping around Shockwave, and hypothetically speaking, could bring back dark and dark elevation. I hope they do, and I hope they really consider doing so, because I think that would help their products, their talent, develop a lot more and help things. Also, those shows gave people opportunity. So regardless, to wrap this up, Jade Cargill, that's what she had to say about her AEW run. Hopefully this puts an end to these freaking questions. Stop asking Jade Cargill about her run in AEW. She's done. She's tired. She's over it. She don't want to talk about it no more. Let it go.